Hello everybody, thank you for coming back to the channel and to the build of the Da Vinci Flyer by Cliff. So what I've done in this chapter, what I want to do is to start with the tissue covering. I looked through the old boxes, you can't see them but they're there. Some of them are empty, but I did find some old tissue, some tissue from some of the kids. I found some of this brown tissue that you see here, green and grey, which is remains of the tissue from the hurricane, that I got from Ray. So thank you, Ray, because you're going to help also with this model. So what I was thinking is I'll be using this tissue because anyhow then I want to spray paint it over, and why not use it if we have it, right? So there's no other particular use for it. So I've taken out this light brown, it's like a sheet. I think I'll be able to do at least the undersides of the wings with it, and then I might use the grey for the top, maybe not the green, we'll see. So what I want to do is basically, I don't know if you can see that I want to tissue up until this rib, so from the wing tip to this rib, because this I want to leave untissued, because then I want to put in the dihedral spar, the dihedral brace, and then glue everything together, but basically to have the tissue already in place. So what I'm going to do is mark, roughly at least cut out each of these sheets in half. Each half is actually good for one wing, kind of almost like to the millimeter, like it's very good, like maybe it's like half an inch left. And then what I want to do, the plan is I want to stick this to the working table, no cutting board or anything like that, but stick it to the working table, not this one but the other one, and stretch it as much as I can, because as this tissue is actually, it comes folded, then it has this crease. So stretch it as much as I can, stick it, then use the water and the glue mix on the edges, on the leading edge, trailing edge, and on this rib, not in the middle ones, because we always want the tissue actually to stretch as much as possible, and then basically put the wing on it, and hopefully it sticks and holds there. That's the plan. Then remove the tissue from the table and then trim it down, leaving if possible some bits still left over to do then the final. It's actually going to be the underside, the final part. So that is the idea, at least that's a plan. If it works out or not, we never know, right? But then that's what I'm going to do. So I'll do the two undersides of the wing, and if you're going to see a little bit of the mess of my table, so you might actually see how I try to do it, which, why not? It's a different way. I'm not going to say it's how to do it, but it's how I'm going to try to do it. To see how to do things like this, then better watch other channels probably. Anyhow, let me set things up, and I'll turn you around and you'll see what I do. So the setup is done. As you can see, I've taped with masking tape. I use masking tape for almost everything nowadays. The tissue down to the table, and I've also refreshed and increased my amount of water glue mix, like cheap man's dope. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to, as I said, like I'm going to put the water glue mix over all the edges, not in the middle, on this spar, so, and then trailing edge, leading edge, and not on the main spar either. Or maybe should I? Maybe not. I'm going to leave it without, let's see if it holds. And then I'm going to put it down, and then I've got a set of weights there in the background, the cube, some alcohol, and some more masking tape ready to weigh down and to keep it as flat as possible. So this I might need to do this off camera, because I don't want to drip on the tissue, so I might cut this out. Just be patient. So now I've put down 2 layers of the water glue mix, because the wood is very dry, so it's very thirsty, and now I want to try to line it up here at the edge, which is pretty straight. Doesn't need to be perfect, because it can always be trimmed. Okay, so now we have that there, and now I'm going to start to put weights down. I hope this all holds. Maybe it's not holding enough. Might need more weights, right? Maybe I underestimated that. Let's use a frog. It's a bit heavy, but there we are. So what else can we use? More stuff. I need to get ready for this. Dumbbells. And that's it, I think, for the moment. So now I'm just going to wait. I don't think I need to wait too long. It'll maybe take, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes. Let it here, and then when I think it's done, remove the weights, take the tape off the edges, but then I'll show you how I do that. So let's go for a short break and wait for this to dry. So now is a little bit of a moment of truth, so let's remove the weights. It's been here for quite a while. I had to put on more weights with the paint cans, and I need then to unstick the masking tape, and hopefully without damaging gently. Is it more stuck to the table or more stuck to the wing? Right, that is the question. So I think it's kind of okay. Might need still a bit of, I don't know if you can see it, might still need a little bit of going over it, but it seems to be stuck okay. What I need to do now is with the scissors probably just try to cut as close as I can to the edges, and then once that is done, then again with the water glue mix try to fold it in and stick it to the remaining frame, especially on the leading edge. I don't know if you can see it, as the leading edge actually curves up slightly, so the aim is to kind of get it stuck there. It's got the bends, it's got some, not the bends, it's got some bends, and that's going to be part of the tricky thing. On the straight leading edge it's okay. On the curved trailing edges I'm going to have to make cuts in the tissue to make sure that it folds over nicely. So overall, so far success. Table is clean for another day's work tomorrow, but so far seems to be okay. So let's see what I can manage to do, and once I do this, then it's the same with the other wing. So I'll do it step by step. And I've cut out the excess tissue, and then I use the cutter, a knife, a sharp knife, because with the scissors it's actually quite awkward to get in close and not leave it very jagged. So with a sharp knife it's good to do it. And then what I have done already, but you can't see, I'll try to show you, I've made some cuts on the tissue, especially where they're going to be corners. So here on the straight part there are no cuts, but around the corners and where there are the curves of the shape, then also some cuts. The closer, or the, how to say, the steeper the curve, the more cuts one needs to do, right? So I hope I've done enough. Nevertheless, the tissue does stretch a little bit when wet, so I've also now shaken up the water glue mix to mix it all together, and now it's going to be about basically wetting the wood, bringing the tissue over, and then with the brush bringing it as close as possible and as neat as possible. I like to do, and it's not my invention, the underside first, because then the top side will actually overlap over the bottom side, and then somehow like that it might look better. That's the theory. So we try to apply the theory even if it doesn't always work. So now to work with sticking basically the remainder of the tissue to the frame. So there, I think you get the gist of it, of how I go ahead and do this. The good thing that I like, or what I like about using the wet glue or the water glue mix, is that actually the mix will seep through the tissue. So if in some spot I haven't actually wetted the wood enough, by wetting the water through the tissue, it actually will stick. With the glue stick, with the classical glue stick that I was using before, that doesn't happen, or doesn't happen as easily. So it's not so convenient. That's why I'm kind of enjoying this much better. Also that, as I say, when it's wet, the tissue does stretch slightly, so it maybe gets into the nooks and crannies a little bit better. It's never perfect, but it can be good enough, hopefully, right? And that's kind of the point. So I just done kind of the beginning of that leading edge. I'll just go all around it. The corners are going to be, the pointy corners, if you can see them, they're going to be a bit of a challenge. Let's see how that goes, and basically come back. And then when I do that, then the next step will be to do the other wing in exactly the same way, so I don't need to show you that. And when that is done, then we go with the more challenging part, which is the upper part of the wing, because as it's curved, because the bottom is pretty much flat, as it's curved, then it's going to be much more challenging. I've got to think how I'm going to do that, if it's going to, one piece is probably going to be very hard, so it might be like different sections, but I'll get to that when the time is right. Then I'll get to that. So let me go on with this and I'll show you hopefully almost completed wing undercover. And a short update on what's going on. So here we have the other wing, which is the left one, I think. It does take some time to dry. So actually I think I pulled it off when it was still a little bit wet, but then my plan is then with the water glue mix to make sure that it's well and truly stuck, the tissue is well stuck to the wood. What I still have to do on this one is then trim it, right? I'll do it with a sharp knife and then I'll trim it around so that it looks like the other one, and then I'll continue to do the folding in and the gluing in. So that's progress on one front. And then on the fuselage I was mentioning, have to be careful here not to break anything. On the fuselage I was mentioning that the landing gear is too wobbly, let's say like that. I did try to put in these bungees in place, if you remember, but that might prevent them from opening up, but it doesn't prevent them from actually, when potentially crash landing or anything, or just moving along, to move backwards and forwards. So I did check it and I did use the wrong width of wire. It says 14 as 14 gauge is what's on the plan, what Cliff has determined, and this one is probably like maybe half that, maybe not even that. So it's what I had around. So I went to the shop, I got a 2mm wire, here it's metric, and which is very close to that 14 gauge, and then I've just made actually yesterday evening 2 more legs. The plan is then to, from here, if you look on the design, I don't know if you can see it, the design is actually quite smart. In theory, if I take out those 4 screws, I can then put in the new legs in and then put on the wheels. So maybe I put the wheels on before, but that is somehow the mechanism that Cliff came up with, which is actually, I think, a very elegant and effective way. And hopefully, being sturdier wire, it won't have this bouncy effect. Other activity that has to be done at some point here is with the push rods. As you see, they're not really very elegant, and actually I'm crossing them over, so I was thinking they would be kind of hidden within the fuselage. Not really working, they get hooked up on themselves. So I think I'm going to maybe use, maybe not this kind of the 2mm wire, but maybe 1.5 or something like that, to make it more sturdy, and probably reprogram the servos so that the servo goes each to its own elevon, whatever it's called. So I also need to redo that, because this is neither elegant nor functional enough. So there's also the activities all at the same time, or in parallel, as doing the wing. So that's the status so far. And time for an update. So most of the activity now has been around the fuselage again. So the landing gear, the new landing gear with a 2mm wire, is now in place again, thanks to the good idea from Cliff to design it like this. I had to put a bit of correction, but I think this is now much sturdier, which is great. Then when I connected in the battery, it took a while. Somehow it wasn't working. It was like on the 3rd or the 5th attempt that it finally beeped. So I'm a bit afraid that there might be some connection, some cable that is not really in a good shape, but anyhow I managed to do it. I did do a bit of testing. Somehow it feels a bit weak, the amount of thrust that it generates, so let's see. So I'll try it still with this one, but I might need to switch the engine at some point. This thing, just considerations for the future. Hopefully not. Slow flyer is a nice flyer, because I'm not that fast. And then what I've also done on the underside, whoa, I don't want to break anything, I've changed out the push rods. I don't know if you can see them, but yeah, they're a little bit on the bendy side, so I should put in some more struts to hold it, but I'm not sure how to do that. I've changed the wire in the middle to, I think it's 1.5mm, and instead of having the wires cross over, they're actually straight up. So no change for the elevator function, but I did have to switch the configuration on the controller for the right and the left turn. So still not completely happy with this. Another option would be to have just one single wire, like without having to do this kind of patching, but for the moment seems to be working, even if not beautiful and not straight, which is bad, I know, but seems to be working. So let's hope it doesn't hook up on anything and that it does actually steer. Then when I connect the battery and everything, then I'll I'll show you how it works, because it does, the surfaces do actually move. If enough or not, that's another question. They're a little bit wobbly, as you see, which is not particularly good. I think the hinge is maybe too loose also, yeah, not convinced am I. But anyhow, so for the moment this is going to stay like this, so that I'm going to move then probably to another room because I don't have space here. And then what I want to continue to do now is with the tissue covering on the wings. So I think I've shown these already. So basically the wing, the underside of the wing is covered. I still haven't shrunk the tissue, but it's already quite nice and taut. Now the challenge is going to be to put the tissue on this. I think I'm going to go with a grey tissue, and I think I'm going to go in sections, especially the wingtip, because that's a very strange shape. So I'm going to do probably sections, and then even for the, let's say, the base of let's say the wing on the upper wing, I think I'm also going to go with sections of rib to rib. Not ideal, but I think it's going to be easier. If I use just one single piece, there are many combined curves here when it comes down, so it would be actually not only difficult, but it might not turn out very nice. So I'm going to go bay by bay. It's also going to take a little bit of work there, of course. So just one at a time, and then once I have it, then the moment will come maybe for shrinking, maybe painting, and maybe putting the wing together. So anyhow, I think this might go into another video, right? There's still quite a lot to go. So I start now with the tissue, and I'll give you some update when I have something. Slow progress, amongst other things, because I've been up to other things, other side projects. But here we have, this is the left wing, which is pretty much already covered with tissue, and I've already started to shrink. So the bottom part, I've already sprayed it with some water, with one of these sprayers, and it's almost dry, still a few drops there, but that I think is looking okay. The upper part I just somehow sprayed one bit, like the wingtip. I don't know if you can see it. I think it could still shrink a little bit more, and then these other parts, they're still to be shrunk, so I'll probably spray them now. This one, as you can see, is not looking too good, so I hope I can actually somehow spread it. Quite challenging, like the bottom part is actually challenging just because it's of the size, but actually goes on well just with one single piece actually. For the upper part, I'm putting it in strips, and the strips are of course irregular, and they're very big, they're very long. So what I'm doing, I'm gluing one side, then waiting for it to dry, then gluing the other side, waiting for it to dry, preparing the other strip, and so on, right? So it is a slow processing itself, which is okay because there's no rush. I've had to switch the tissue color because I ran out of the grey one. I still have a little bit, but it's not enough for this section, so I think I'll use it for the tip of the next wing. And let's see if the remaining green tissue that I have is enough. I fear it might not be, and I still need to have some patches for this inside sections, top and bottom, and then probably also the center section should also be, I'm guessing, tissued. So that is the progress so far. The other wing just has the bottom side, so I'll be starting that one also probably tomorrow. I'll do some shrinking, and then gradually, once that is done, then I'll assemble the whole thing. With the patchy design, I'm hoping to paint it then. I think it's going to be red and yellow. I'm not sure, like the fuselage is also red and yellow, so I'll probably also go with red and yellow, or maybe just one solid color. And I'm hoping that it's not too visible, the two colors. I'm afraid it will be a little bit, but hopefully not too much. So that's the progress here. And what else? The other thing, I bought a packet of rubber bands because I'm going to need rubber bands to fix it to the fuselage. So there's some progress. I hope I haven't lost the spar, the dihedral brace, and the spar should be somewhere. Worst case, I can then make another one. So I'm going to shrink this part also, and then hopefully then the next update will be both wings kind of coming together. So let's see how that goes. And I'm going to wrap up the video already because I realized that there's still quite a lot to be done and I haven't published for a while. So let me show you parts, like the two wings. So here's the left wing, already stretched. There's still some wrinkles, but some of them have come out actually. So I think I did it like 2 or 3 times. Some patches a little bit more than others. So 2 to 3 times of wetting with a little sprayer. The underside, of course, much nicer. The top side, as you can see, not perfect. Kind of hoping that the new layers, because if I spray paint it, it's also wet, so it might also stretch further. or it might not. Experience tells me I should not rely on covering problems up, because that typically exposes them even more. And then here is the right wing, which as you can see it's also patchy. I've got 3 colors on it, just using the tissue that I have available. My worry here is that the tissue is going to shrink also differently. Of course, each tissue is a little bit different, but I'll be spraying this one. I'll start now. It might take basically the whole afternoon to spray, wait, spray, wait, spray, wait. So I'm going to do that, and then for the next chapter is going to be how to basically putting the 2 wings together, putting the tissue on the parts that are missing, so basically the inside parts, the 3 bays, so 2 inner bays and the central bay, top and bottom, and then spray painting. And once that is painted and maybe even some lacquer or something, I'll see what goes on, then it'll be pretty much done, so it'll be the final assembly. So I'm going to leave that then for the next episode, and leaving it here. So thank you everybody for following along, all your comments and tips and recommendations, always very much appreciated, and I'll see you next time.